Hi there, this is David, and today I want to talk about the Nintendo 3DS eShop. Specifically, what should you buy for this before it closes down? As many of you are probably aware, the eShop itself is going to close next March 27th of 2023. This is for the 3DS and the Wii U, but I'm going to focus specifically on the 3DS right now. However, we're getting down to the wire though. We can no longer add funds to the eShop using our credit cards, but by the end of this month, August 29th, you can no longer add any kind of credits to the shop whatsoever. So as of right now, you can still use your Nintendo gift cards, the Nintendo eShop cards, in order to add funds that way. But once August 29th passes, you can't add any more funds. So again, we're getting out of the wire as far as what you want to add to your 3DS or your first 3DS or your second 3DS. It's a great system. You gotta have two. Why not? So I have the eShop pulled up right here, and I just want to go through and show y'all what is available, what my personal recommendations are as far as what you should purchase for this system. First up, we have the Etrian Odyssey series. There are a lot of these games out there. The Untold ones, Etrian Odyssey Untold 2, as well as Untold the Millennium Girl, are both $20, and they are remakes of the first and second Etrian Odysseys from the normal DS. Then there's Etrian Odyssey 4, Legend of the Titans, as well as 5, Beyond the Myth, and Nexus, which is the most recent game in the series. If you're not aware, these games are first-person dungeon crawlers, which I normally don't like, but they're beautiful, and they actually kind of have a pretty decent story. And nicely, they allow you to choose classes and change classes, and they are pretty challenging. So definitely look these up if you are ready for a challenge, you like class changing, which I do, makes for a lot of replayability, and you like a pretty game. Why not? Next on our list, we have the Yokai Watch series. These are all available there. Looks like they are $40 each. There's Yokai Watch 1, 2, and 3 here as well. There's a lot of stuff right here. Yokai Watch, for those of you not aware, it is basically a Pokemon game, but better, I would say, and it's not that hard to be better than Pokemon, I've got to say. It reminds me a lot of like Ni no Kuni, whenever you like gather your familiars and everything, but the yokai are actually based upon Japanese mythology, and it's just a lot of fun. This is a fantastic series. They are rather pricey, I've got to say, but I don't think that these are ever going to get ported anywhere else unless we get like a Switch collection, which would be nice. So if you are into Pokemon, Digimon, monster collecting of any kind, Robopon, there's so many pons out there, check out Yokai Watch. It looks like some free demos are available as well, a free demo for the first game as well as the second game as well. So check out the demo, see if you like it. Now we have the Mario and Luigi series. There's a lot of these out there. There's Mario and Luigi Dream Team, which has Luigi kind of sleeping away and Mario is kind of playing around while he's sleeping. We have Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey, which is a whole lot of fun. It's kind of a platformer meets a JRPG, turn-based battles. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. That's a remake of a Game Boy Advance game. And then Paper Jam as well. There are so many good Mario and Luigi games here. It looks to me like they're all $40 except for Dream Team, which is $20. If you are a fan of Paper Mario, Super Mario RPG, the original back on the Game Boy Advance, any of those types of games, be sure to check this out. If you just like first-person Nintendo games, these are the games for you. They are kind of baby's first JRPG, but they are so funny, and they actually do have a lot of depth to them that you wouldn't really think that they would, considering that they are kind of, again, baby's first JRPG. But yeah, there's a lot to see and do here, a lot of little secrets to discover. It is just really, really cute. I do enjoy the Mario and Luigi series. More Nintendo first-party stuff, more Nintendo tax. We have $40 Fire Emblem games. We've got Fire Emblem Awakening, which really revitalized the whole Fire Emblem series, made it much more user-friendly, much more friendly to someone who doesn't like permadeath. Yeah. So it was really with Awakening that I personally kind of really dove into the series myself. I did play the ones on the NES, the ones on the Game Boy Advance, the ones on the SNES, as well as the ones on the Wii and the GameCube, but I played them out of spite. Even though it had permadeath, I still played them all. And I beat them too, shockingly enough. The ones on emulation I totally beat using save states because, I can't do the permadeath. I just can't. But anyway, we have the Awakening, we have the Fates Birthright, Fates Conquest, which tells, different stories from different viewpoints or whatever. And then we have Echo Shadows of Valentia as well. So lots of Fire Emblem games here. If you are into traditional turn-based JRPG strategy type games, if you liked Advance Wars, Final Fantasy Tactics, any of those, you're definitely going to check out the Fire Emblem games. They are the great-granddaddy of all strategy RPGs. They're down there with, Shining Force as some of the very, very first ones, and they're still very good, especially since they got rid of the permadeath. Speaking of tactical JRPGs, we have Mercenary Saga 2 and 3, which is currently on sale for $2.50 and $3, depending on the game. They take massive inspiration from Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics as well. Both of them are on sale for the 3DS right now. It looks to me like there's also a Mercenary Saga Chronicles over on the Switch, which is $15. But if you like portable gaming, if you want games for your 3DS, and if you want them definitely on the cheap, pick them up for the 3DS instead, because as you can see, this is a love letter to games like Final Fantasy Tactics. If you are a SMT fan, the 3DS is the system for you. We have Strange Journey Redux, which is kind of a reimagining, remake of Strange Journey for the DS. We also have SMT4, the original, plus its sequel, Apocalypse, which is basically a direct sequel from the fourth game, but with a whole new cast of characters and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty neat. We have the Devil Survivor games, which are remakes of the Devil Survivor games back on the DS. Those are tactical turn-based JRPGs in the SMT universe. There's 1 and 2 for that. This Overclocked is also a remake. We got Soul Hackers, which I believe is a remake of a Saturn game, I want to say, an SMT Saturn game. It looks like these are all $20, except for Strange Journey Redux, which is $40, and Apocalypse, which is $30. But as you can see, there are a metric ton of these SMT games out there, and I know that there's a lot of people who are Persona fans who really want to get more into the series. This would be a great jumping off point for you. If you like Persona, then you might want to see where Persona came from, because it's originally a spin-off of the SMT series. So definitely check those out. Post-apocalyptic JRPG, demon devilly goodness. Speaking of Persona, we have Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth. It's quite a mouthful. This takes the main cast of Persona 5 and it turns them into a dungeon crawler. There are some new characters and all that kind of stuff, but if you're a fan of wizardry, the aforementioned Etrian Odyssey series, Eye of the Beholder, any of those first-person dungeon crawling games, check this one out. We have auto map making, all that kind of stuff, those quality of life improvements. If you just want more information or more canonical stuff about the cast of Persona 5, you just can't get enough of them, then definitely check this one out. It's a little bit pricey at $40 when the SMT games were cheaper than that, but again, if you're a Persona fan, then this will be well worth it to you. More 3DS, more Atlas games. Now we got Stella Glue. This is a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous Turn-based tactical JRPG, kind of meets visual novel thing. There's a lot of anime tropes in it, a lot of just that stupid stuff that I don't particularly like. But if you're just a fan of tactical, turn-based, grid-based gameplay, you want a harem, that sort of thing, magical girls, that sort of stuff, then this would be right up your alley. It's $20. You can't beat it, especially whenever I have the collector's edition back there for, I think I got it for $50. So yeah, probably only worth the $20. But I did have a fun time with it. It's just not exactly my cup of tea as far as the storyline is concerned, but the gameplay is top-notch. I have a strange one to talk about here. This is Langrisser RE Incarnation Tensi. Again, it's a mouthful. And I've got to say, this is probably the absolute worst Langrisser game ever made. For those of you who don't know, Langrisser is also known as War Song. That's what was released back on the Genesis way back in the day, back when I was a kid. It's $20, which is completely overpriced, unless you were like major fan of Langrisser, or a major fan of something like Fire Emblem, and you like your turn-based tactical JRPGs. There's not much positives that I can say about this game, because again, it is pretty terrible, but I figured I'd mention it because it is part of a very large, well-known series, and as far as I'm aware, the only way to actually access this game is the 3DS. So if you want to get it for whatever reason, like you're into that thing, then grab it, but honestly, I wouldn't. But again, I figured I'd mention it because it's gonna be, the end of the month and you just can't. It'll just be gone. Okay, here we have quite literally the definition of a hidden gem, Sadame, which is the first action RPG that I've talked about on this list. This is an eShop exclusive. I don't believe it was ever released physically, and I don't believe it's available on Steam or anything else like that. You can choose from one of 4 different hero classes, and go around and fight and attack in this kind of samurai, Edo-Japanese era demonic landscape. So yeah, if this looks up your alley, have at it. It is a lot of fun. It's not that long though, but it might be worth it for you. Now we have Final Fantasy Explorers for $40. This is Square Enix's take on the Monster Hunter franchise that became very popular back on the PS2 and then especially back on the PSP. And Square Enix likes to put their fingers in every pot, as you are aware, and they wanted to come up with their own little thing. So you can choose from all sorts of different Final Fantasy-based job classes, go around, fight a whole bunch of monsters that are, of course, Final Fantasy-based monsters. You can see various characters from previous games. There's all sorts of fan service. Considering it is a clone, it's actually a pretty good clone from what I've seen and for what I've played as well. So yeah, if you're into that series, check this out. Next up, Monster Hunter Stories. Not quite the original, but closer than Final Fantasy Explorers at least. So whereas Monster Hunter, the original, was pretty much literally, here's your village, go out and fight some monsters, you get some stuff, you go back, you get better equipment, you go out, you fight some more monsters, a little bit harder monsters, you go back, get some better equipment, you go out, fight harder monsters, and you do this until you beat the game, really. Monster Hunter Stories is much more traditional JRPG, much more colorful, much prettier, and to me, a lot more fun. It's a lot more of what I look for in a JRPG because, it actually has a story, has different things to explore, different things to discover, different animal companions. You can, mount them and fly around and stuff, swim about and all that kind of cool stuff. It's actually a lot of fun to go out and explore these areas and these regions. It's not just kill stuff to get better equipment until you finally kill the last thing that there is to kill. It's kill stuff and explore and look around and have a story. That's what I like in an RPG. Next up, this was a surprise hit for me, one of my favorites on the system, Fantasy Life. Normally, I don't really like Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon-y type games. They're just a little bit too long and way too boring for me. But this one was different. It was actually a lot of fun. You can choose whatever job class that you want to, go out into the world and explore, help people out, go attack monsters. You can explore various dungeons. It's kind of like almost a rune factory, but it's more life sim than a rune factory, I guess. This is super cute, a lot of fun. It's worth $40, and I would say it's worth every penny of that $40 if you are into the types of games that I literally just said that I'm not into. But I liked it anyway. Hey, what can I say? It was good. We have Oasis. $40, and it's similar, I guess, to Fantasy Life, but this is much more action-orientated than that game. It focuses on a hub town, your Oasis, which you have to build up, and you can choose how to build it up. Do you want to build more shops, recruit more people? How do you want to build up your little Oasis? And then you go out and you explore the desert, and you see the mysteries of the desert, I suppose. And you go spelunking into the dungeons, you recruit various allies with different jobs who can do or solve different puzzles. Like you might get in there and there'll be something blocking your way and you need a specific character in order to get through that puzzle. It's created by the same people who created the Mana series and who worked in the Legend of Zelda series, so there are some devious puzzles. It is absolutely beautiful, just like the Mana series, and I would highly recommend this unique game as well, which is not available anywhere else. Now we have the bargain of the century, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, for only $20 from the eShop. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I don't do 3D Zelda. Zelda quit existing to me whenever Zelda Ocarina of Time came out, and then Majora's Mask, and I can't do the 3D. I just can't. I am so terrible at it. I cannot do it. So really the last game that I played was this one, which I really enjoyed, and before that was probably Minish Cap, way back on the Game Boy Advance, because everything else was 3D, and it's too hard for me. Cannot do it. Taking place in the same world as Link to the Past, this is just such a wonderful throwback to my childhood. You can kind of like merge into the walls and solve some really kind of fun puzzles. It doesn't have any kind of Z targeting or anything else like that. So yeah, it's actually playable for someone like me with zero coordination and who isn't exactly the biggest Zelda fan ever, but hey, I really liked this. We have the Bravely series. Bravely Default and Bravely Second End Layer are both available on the 3DS. They both have a free demo, and they're both $40. I can't believe they're not on sale yet. But if you, like me, are a fan of something like Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy III, Dragon Quest III, Dragon Quest VI, Dragon Quest VII, anything with a job class and a world map, then hey, you have found the game for you. Bravely Default definitely features a ton of quality of life improvements such as fast forwarding, turning off encounters in their entirety, being able to basically just slaughter randoms by just, using up all your turns constantly, and you'd have to brave and then default during some boss battles and stuff, but during the trash mobs, you just go on all-out attack and just kill them, and you can grind up in about 2 seconds flat. The first game, not as good as the second game, Bravely's Second right there, because the first game had some issues with the last chapters where you just kind of repeated everything over and over and over again. But that was definitely solved in Bravely's Second End Layer. And if you like those games on the 3DS, be sure to check out Bravely Default 2 on the Switch, which I see right there as well, which I loved, even though the boss fights were way too hard. But yeah, I cannot say no to a great JRPG with great job classes and great world maps. I love a good world map. And now we have probably some of the most expensive games on the system that are available here for $40 each on the eShop. Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King, and Dragon Quest VII, Fragments of a Forgotten Past. 7 is a remake of the PlayStation 1 game, but with a ton of quality of life improvements, as well as a fully realized 3D world that you can explore, whereas the first game on the PlayStation looked very SNES, and it was also very slow. They really did fix things in the 3DS remake to make things a lot more streamlined. Dragon Quest VIII is almost a complete port of the PS2 version of the game, but there are additional party members. You have the incredibly overpowered Red and Mori, who both join up your party very much late into the game as well. But yeah, if you're a fan of Dragon Quest like I am, then you're definitely going to want to pick these two games up, because again, they're not available anywhere else. They're not on the Switch, they're not on Steam, they're not on mobile, I don't believe. So this is where you can get them, and you can only get them until August 29th. So be sure to pick these guys up. 7th Dragon 3, Code VFD. Okay, this is kind of a strange one, and I don't know how this has not been created before. You know how in first-person dungeon crawling games or Western RPGs, there's like a ton of job classes that really aren't available in a more traditional turn-based JRPG? This game changes all that. It takes those weird, esoteric job classes that you would see in a dungeon crawling game, something like in Etrigan Odyssey, and puts them into a traditional turn-based JRPG that does not feature dungeon crawling, that has turn-based JRPG battling, that has maps that are kind of made for you and everything, and it's just gorgeous. I don't know why we didn't get the original on the DS, but hey, I'm glad that we got this one at least, so it's something, and it's a great game too. Saving the best for last. Radiant Historia, perfect chronology. Radiant Historia was bar none the best game on the original DS, and this remake came out, and the thing is that the original was so good it didn't need a remake, but hey, it got one with upgraded graphics, upgraded storyline, voice acting. If you have not played this game, what are you doing? It's $40 and it's worth every single cent. I cannot explain to you how good this game is. If you liked Chrono Trigger, time traveling, and your JRPGs, then this is it for you. It kind of plays like a visual novel insofar as you can go down one path and you can be like, okay, you're presented with two choices. Which one do I choose? One will probably lead to death. The other one will lead you on with the story. Sometimes the story branches out a little bit more than that, but for the most part it leads to death. Battling takes place in a grid, and you can set traps and kind of push and pull monsters around to hit those traps and everything. It is so much fun. You can see the turn order gauge on the side, kind of like Final Fantasy X. What I wouldn't give for this to really have its own series. We need a Radiant Historia 2. Probably not following the same characters, but at least, same kind of gameplay, This is such a good game. It's just a shame to have it just sit there like Chrono Trigger just sits there. Why does this one have to sit there too? Let's get a sequel to this on the Switch. What are your favorite games for the 3DS? What are you going to buy before the store shuts down? Let me know in the comments. And as always, have a good